Thank you so much for watching Landumc Goes There. Please subscribe and hit the like button and the bell notification button. Assault on Precinct 13 is a 1976 independent action thriller film that was written, directed, scored, and edited by John Carpenter. The movie stars Austin Stoker, Darwin Jostin, Laurie Zimmer, Tony Burton, Martin West, and Nancy Keys. The storyline takes place in Los Angeles, where the LAPD kills several members of the South Central gang Street Thunder, which causes the remaining members to avenge these deaths by waging a bloody war against cops and citizens alike throughout the city. Caught in the crossfire of all this is Lieutenant Ethan Bishop, who's managing a skeleton crew at the local and soon-to-be-closed police precinct. As gang members close in, Bishop forms an unlikely alliance with a group of prisoners in order to defend the station and the lives of everyone in it. Following the release of Dark Star, which was Carpenter's first release, this film and a second script entitled Eyes were supposed to be two low-budget films that were written and directed by Carpenter, with financing done by J. Stein Kaplan. After reviewing the first draft of Assault and following the sale of the script of that second film, Eyes, to Barbara Streisand and John Peters, Kaplan concentrated all his energy into this film. The director Carpenter had hoped to make a Howard Hawks-style Western like El Dorado or Rio Lobo, but the $100,000 that he was given as a budget prohibited that. So what he did was basically refashion that scenario of Rio Bravo into a modern setting. After deciding on this, the script was written in 8 days. The film underwent several months of pre-production, with the director assembling a main cast that consisted of mostly experienced but relatively obscure actors. The two leads were Austin Stoker and Darwin Jostin. Stoker had appeared previously in Battle of the Planet of the Apes, and Jostin had primarily worked in television, but he happened to be the director's next-door neighbor. After an open casting call, Carpenter rounded out the cast with a variety of actors and actresses. Principal photography started in November of 1975 and was shot in a total of 20 days, which included Thanksgiving. The movie was done in 35mm Panavision, which was Carpenter's first experience with this type of camera and lenses. He's often called making this movie one of the most fun experiences he ever had in directing. 2 weeks of shooting indoors was followed by 2 weeks of on-location shoots. The interiors of the police station were shot in the now-defunct producer's studio set, while the exterior shots and the jail cells were from the old Venice police station. The scene of the bus traveling to Sonora was shot on a closed section of an LA freeway, with the cast and crew pulling over to have lunch on this idle freeway. Carpenter's philosophy in making Assault was one that he still believes can be applied to making any low-budget film, and that was to shoot as little footage as possible and extend the scenes for as long as he could. That very first scene that you see in the film, in which several members of the gang are gunned down by cops, was shot at the University of Southern California, and the gang members that are shot were played by USC students. The very first night when he saw the dailies from that first shoot made the director's jaw drop. He was extremely impressed with the 35mm Panavision shooting of it. He's also acknowledged that the 1968 film, The Night of the Living Dead, really influenced the marauding street gang in this film. Like in George Romero's Zombies, these gang members were completely dehumanized. They hardly talk and almost seem supernatural in their ongoing resilience. Now, the story that Ethan Bishop tells about his father sending him to the police station when he was 6 years old was actually a true story that was told by Alfred Hitchcock about his childhood. He stated that his father once took him to a local police station as a form of punishment, handing a note to an officer asking him to lock young Alfred up in a cell for a short time, doing this essentially as a warning that this is what happens to naughty boys. It's believed that this action contributed to Hitchcock's lifelong fear of authority figures, which is often reflected in his films. Darwin Jostin's portrayal of convict Napoleon Wilson is inspired by Charles Bronson's character of Harmonica in Once Upon a Time in the West from 1968. When each one of these characters is asked to explain themselves and their actions, both respond only at the point of dying. As Wilson's character explains why he has killed so many people, he recalls that when he first saw a preacher, the preacher told him, "Son, there's something strange about you. You've got something to do with death." This quote belongs to Jason Robards' character Cheyenne in Once Upon a Time in the West, and is the title of Christopher Frayling's biography of Sergio Leone. The movie was a bigger hit in Britain than it was in America, largely because the British audiences understood and enjoyed the film's similarities to American westerns, whereas the U.S. audiences didn't. Initially, it got very little attention in the U.S. until a British distributor submitted the film into a British movie contest where it won first prize, which subsequently earned a lot of critical and public praise. This British success then slowly caused the movie to become more popular back in the USA. Now, that ice cream truck scene shocked audiences to the bone and created a wave of unexpected and unsolicited publicity, saying that the film went too far. And the director even feels that way too, after it was all said and done. He regretted that he included that scene of the young girl getting shot into the film. Initially, it's thought that that scene would give the film an X rating if it wasn't cut. The distributor advised the director to give the Motion Picture Board a version that had that scene excised from it so that they could get an R rating, and then go ahead and simply distribute the original version complete with that scene in it. And that's what they did. And it truly is one of the rarest scenes that you'll ever see in a film. It really was taboo to show that on the big screen. Go back and take a look at this pretty good film. I always enjoy watching it. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll continue to chase the classics.